Hello, everybody. I'm a practicing therapist and a doctoral student of psychology. Today, I wanted to go over a topic that a lot of y'all have questioned about, and I've made videos on this before, but as I always do, I always make updated videos when I learn things, when I'm practicing, when I see things with my patients, or if I have an inspirational and productive session, and I feel like there's information that I want you guys to learn so that you guys can achieve these productive relationships as well. And today we're going to talk about the tests that you basically feel like you have to pass in order for an avoidant to choose you. I don't like wording it like that because it can seem like you guys are just jumping through hoops. However, unfortunately, it kind of does feel like that for you guys. And so the reason why I kept it worded like that is because I feel like if I tried to minimize it, I would just be not being honest with you, because it really does feel like that. Like you literally feel like you have to pass these tests. Otherwise, they're going to, react poorly. They're going to deactivate, or they're going to continue with their negative behaviors. And so truthfully, that is true. A lot of these times, these tests are what avoidants are looking for before they commit to you. And the first test is actually about trust. Now, I see this very, very, very often. And I would say that this is one of the most common tests, and you will see it in the beginning, but you'll also see it in the middle, or even when they're literally preparing to marry you or label the relationship. So you might even see it towards deeper, stages of the relationship. And so what does a trust test look like? They might ask you a favor. This one is more common. They might show their financial profile. Like they might show you their brokerage account on an app. Or maybe they have a stack of money on their table and they left it there to see if you're going to take any money, okay? Or they might tell you something personal to see if you're going to keep it private. Let's say they ask you to keep it private. So a very typical example, which I've seen happen some of the time, or patients have reported, is they might leave money laying around, or they might ask you to count the money. They might count it and be like, oh, I want to double check to make sure I get it right. Can you count it? And so sometimes even consciously, but it might be subconscious, they're trying to see if you're going to take any of the money, right? I hope none of y'all will do that, but they're testing. Avoidant individuals are very afraid to be taken advantage of. Their financial profile is very valuable to them because it really signifies their hard work and independence. And so they usually test using a financial perspective. The next one is your patience and tolerance. Now, I'm not saying you have to tolerate the way if they are mistreating you or anything. No, absolutely not. But they're actually trying to see how you handle delays or disagreements or a stressful situation. To them, it signals that you will understand them and they will be more willing to compromise if you're also willing to meet them halfway. That's basically what they're trying to see. So let's say, for example, plans get canceled last minute, or he's running late or she's running late, and maybe they're in a meeting of some sort. Maybe the avoidant has a pretty high stress job and things drop at the drop of a hat, things change. And so whatever the situation was, they had to cancel, or you guys have to reschedule, or they're coming late, and they're checking. Are you staying calm? Are you understanding? Are you frustrated but still communicating properly? Are you supporting them? Are you holding them accountable if this is something they continuously do? So they're trying to see what's your patience, what's your tolerance. Because if it's something that they continuously do, you could mention, I appreciate you sharing that, but this is the 5th time in 3 months that this has happened. What can we do to minimize it, or is this something that I'm just going to continue to expect? And if that's the case, can we try to make a little bit more plans going forward to see each other more frequently so that we don't have these multiple cancellations? Whatever your version is, you guys work it out together, but just something to keep in mind. The next one is, are you supportive under pressure? Your pressure or their pressure? Actually, I would say it might be even more particular for their pressure. Let's say they're having a tough situation. Maybe they failed a project. Maybe they did something at work that was truly their fault and they're in trouble for it. They want to see, are you going to encourage them? Are you going to be honest with them without criticizing them? Are you going to support them in their own perspective, the way they take it? And I'm going to give an example because a lot of people don't understand how avoidants want to be spoken to when they're stressed out, because it's very different from anxious, preoccupied, or even fearful avoidance, okay? This is more for if you're dismissive or dismissive leaning. They actually like to hear encouragement, but in a tough love type of way. Say something like, you know that you did make a mistake, but holding on to it or hanging on to it forever is not going to do anything. Tomorrow you have a fresh start. That your boss knows your credentials. This is a one-time thing. As long as you learn from it, it's going to be okay. They like hearing it like that. That's what they hear as supportive. They don't hear supportive like, oh, it shouldn't be your fault. Like your boss is mean, or that shouldn't have happened. They shouldn't have held it this bad, or they shouldn't have held it against you like that. They don't like that because it makes them feel like you're coddling them. So that's just something to keep in mind. The next test is conflict resolution skills. How do you resolve conflict? How do you guys resolve conflict together? Because you have to understand that avoidant individuals are not just testing you, they're also testing their tolerance towards you. They're thinking very long term. Are you guys going to be able to make it? Because avoidants are afraid, honestly, of failed relationships. How do you resolve conflict? How do you communicate? How do you handle disagreements? Maybe constructive criticism. And how do you act when in those times? Are you respectful? Are you rolling your eyes? Are you pouting? Are you mad that you're not getting your way? Are you putting ultimatums down? Or are you staying calm? Are you listening? Are you seeking solutions? They don't like yelling. They don't like blame. And they do not like if you avoid responsibility. So that's something to keep in mind. And they also want to be held accountable, especially if they really care about you. It's okay to expect them to meet you halfway. The next one is respect for boundaries. Even if the boundary will change, because boundaries actually do change. I don't agree that people say boundaries should never change in marriages and relationships. It should always be a certain way. That's just not true. I've seen so many marriages and so many relationships. Boundaries change all the time because at first you guys are strangers. And then after like 5 years, you guys are like a couple. You guys are building a life together. So the boundaries might change a little bit. But especially in the beginning, do you respect their personal space, their emotional needs? Do you respect what they say when they say they can't do X, Y, and Z right now? Maybe they can't give you what you want right now, but it's possible in the future. That doesn't mean you have to stick around. But what I'm saying is, can you react in a way that's respectful? Can you appreciate that they're honest with you? Can you support if they want to be alone? That's what they're trying to understand, right? They want to make sure that you appreciate who they truly are, okay? The next one is reaction to honesty. They're trying to test how you behave when they're honest, because avoidant individuals, sometimes they're not honest because they're afraid you're going to be critical. That's not your fault. They should be honest, but it's true that this is how they operate. They want to see, are you accepting them for their flaws? Or are you going to be judgmental or critical? Maybe they admit that they made a mistake. Let's say we're talking about the work situation. Maybe they admit they made a mistake at work. Are you going to respond with kindness, or are you going to be disappointed? Are you disappointed? Are you going to blame them? That's something they're trying to test. They're trying to see, how do you operate when you're trying to understand them? Can you understand what it feels like to be in their place? Can you understand that not everybody's perfect? Can you let go of the needs that you're feeling, your triggers for the moment, to hear them as a person, right? A lot of times, especially if you're anxious, preoccupied, you might feel like if somebody is saying something, they're saying it against you entirely. Let's say an avoidant individual truly says, hey, I actually think you're a little bit needy. Maybe they could have used a nicer word, but they're trying to tell you, you're a little bit needy. I understand that I'm distant, but it's very overwhelming. You're asking, for a lot from me. And to me, I don't think it's reasonable at this stage in our relationship. It's just too much. They're being honest with you, but you might feel, and I'm not saying you particularly, just an example, that they're rejecting you, that they don't love you, that they're criticizing you. But can you put that away for the moment? Your triggers, you're allowed to be triggered, but can you still respond with clarity? Can you still respond with understanding? Can you respond with respect? That's what they're trying to say. It doesn't mean you're not allowed to be upset. Just how do you convey it? And the last one that we're going to discuss in this video is emotional stability. They want to see how you handle your own emotions, anxiety, anger, jealousy. Avoidant individuals almost always prefer calm over chaos, especially if they're dismissive avoidant. Fearful avoidant, sometimes they actually are attracted to chaos, especially if they're leaning anxious. That's typically why fearful avoidants might be attracted to personality disorders or somebody who's not available, because they're actually used to the imbalance feeling. Like they're actually they're comfortable with uncertainty because of their childhood. So that's a little bit different. But I'm talking more about someone who's very dismissive leaning or dismissive avoidant, right? They want to see how you handle your emotions. When you have a disagreement, are you calm and composed, or are you reactive? Are you explosive? Are you able to navigate your own feelings? Maybe a friend's made a comment to you and you're feeling really bad. Are you blowing up their phone? Are you calling them? Are you cursing them out because they're not answering? Or are you telling them, hey, I had a really bad day. My friend said this. Can we talk about it? It doesn't mean you're not allowed to have emotions. It's just how do you convey them, right? And so those are some of the 7. These are 7 ways that an avoidant may test you, but there are so many of them. So this is just like the tip of the iceberg, okay? I hope this video is helpful to somebody. Please like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.